What's going on, guys? Today I am going to show you how I powder coat at home. I've been asked this question many times, and today I'm going to cover it, what products I use, what tools I use, and how I do it. So stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Welcome to MDOR. So I wanted to do things a little bit different. I think I'm going to start doing this channel more of a vlog just because of all the stuff that I have going on. You guys are asking a lot of questions about certain things that I'm doing. It'd be cool just to share the stuff that I do and how I do it. Usually my videos are more based on how-tos, like for the Can-Am, for the Jeep. But certain things you guys are asking me questions, how I do things, how I build things. So we're gonna try this out, and today we're gonna focus on how do I powder coat at home and how do I get my stuff nice and shiny. So I'm gonna go over the things that I'm using and how I do it. I do have a project that I'm about to start on the Can-Am, so I'm actually converting it from a 64-inch to a 72-inch, and I got all of my stuff ready to go for it. So I'm going to be using Rhino 2.0 axles. I got the full kit from HCR with the brackets for the rear shocks, and basically what I just showed you here, this is the front bracket for the shocks. So I'm going to do a whole separate video on that. Today we're focusing on powder coating and how I get my finishes. So I'll show you guys what I recently powder coated, and that would be these hood scoops. So they were cut on my CNC plasma. TIG welded, and essentially I am using these instead of the factory ones. So what I wanted to do was to match the finish on them to my Addictive Desert Designs front bumper, rear bumper, doors, and so on, so everything matches. So these I'm actually considering making a few as a kit that I'm going to be selling, finished up and powder coat. Basically this finish right here, it's like that texture black that's used on bumpers, just kind of to match everything else that I have. So this is a single stage powder coat, and as far as this is basically a two-stage. So this is Illusion Red, and essentially it goes on with, so the color goes on and it's not exactly red when it goes on. To get the finish on it and the color, you basically have to use a clear coat on it and rebake it again, and that's how you get the color. And I'll show you guys how I do that in the process. These were actually my first prototype. These aren't powder coated, these are just sprayed with spray paint just to kind of see the fitment and everything like that. These are only tacked up together, so this was actually my first prototype before I made the ones that I'm actually using. When it comes to the hood scoops, I'll cover that in a different video. Today we're focusing on getting these suspension arms powder coated, trailing arms powder coated, brackets powder coated. Originally I was thinking about doing these in a clear coat just because I love the way this raw steel looks with the welding marks and everything. HCR stuff is of course beautifully welded, so I wanted to show that off. But then in the end, I decided that I wanted to do Illusion Red. So these are gonna get coated in red. So I'm gonna blast these here. I'm gonna be using glass just to clean it up and get all the residues off of it and everything, and get these powder coated. Welcome to my messy shop. For the blaster, I'm using a Harbor Freight blasting cabinet. It's actually pretty decent, the cabinet itself. A couple things I don't like is the gun. That's something that I'm gonna have to probably upgrade with time. I am using glass media from Northern Tool, which seems to be doing a pretty good job so far. As you can tell, this cabinet is a little bit messy. As far as the oven, I was considering buying a pre-made oven, but in the long run, I decided to actually make my own oven. I built this from scratch. Just to kind of give you guys a run through, I used a household oven to steal some parts out of, and Got some latches on the inside, 2 coils that I used that I stole out of an old oven. Up top I have a removable rack. Basically I used oven racks from that same oven and I welded them together. Got them on here. It is removable, it does slide out, and I was actually going to make a couple more brackets so I can use the shelves lower if I have to. Well, long story short, these are a little flimsy, so I decided to keep this one up top for now, and later on I'm just going to use some rod and weld up my own racks in order to make it a little bit stiffer, because you know how everybody likes a stiff rod. Now everything is insulated. I did take these 2 pieces of glass from the oven door too. As you can tell, it's double layer, so you got one on the outside, one on the inside. As far as the oven construction, commercial studs, and essentially on the inside I used Rockwell. On the inside I made a little thing on my brake just to kind of mount these coils. A bracket here to mount up the coils so they're not loose. And then the inside here on the seams, I pretty much have just regular RTV sealant. I found this stuff on Amazon by tube, and it worked out well. Everything inside the oven is also sealed up with the same stuff. Now, as far as the sheet metal that I used, this is just 22 gauge sheet metal that you could get at an HVAC store. Fairly simple. I think it was like 22 bucks a roll, and I think I used like 9 or 10 rolls or something like that. Overall, I want to say this oven came out just under $1,000 maybe, and the size of it is 6 foot tall, so I could fit pretty long pieces, 30 inches wide and 24 inches deep. And essentially what I wanted to do was be able to fit wheels in here if I have to, or even such things as like 2 bumpers or anything that I need to fit, I'm able to fit. For the controller, originally I was going to use the controls from the oven, but then I decided not to because everything was so chintzy and crappy. And I do have this on casters. I ended up using a PID that I found on Amazon. Came with a solid state relay. So these 2 were a kit. And then I just got an extra solid state relay for the other coil. Wired everything up at 240. I got a thick enough extension cord to be able to bring the wires in. So I got a 25-foot lead on it wherever I need to plug it in. Everything's wired up. Thermocouple goes through the wall on the inside here. I got myself an oven. Now I'm able to bake my own stuff. Before we pop stuff into the oven, we have to sandblast and we have to powder coat. I'm gonna get the part in the blasting cabinet and start blasting away.
I do it again.
Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what, add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what.
I got the arm all blasted. So the reason I do blast it is because, well, there's actually a couple of reasons. There's a lot of mill scale still attached, especially after like welding. There's little flakes and stuff on the edges here that need to come off. Otherwise the powder coat's not going to bond to it. As well as I want to have a good surface for the powder coat to adhere to. So basically I'm kind of giving it like a rough surface to bond to. And I want to make sure that I'm always wearing like gloves in order to handle it, because the oils from your fingers will leave fingerprints on here and will also put oils in the metal, which you don't want. Your powder coat's not going to bond to that spot where the oils are. I'm going to go ahead and load up my powder coat gun. Now for the powder coat gun, I'm using the hot coat from Eastwood. It seems pretty decent. It's not magical, it's good. I mean, it does the job and it does it fairly well. I got a cheap regulator on there, a desiccant filter just to not get any moisture in my powder. I'm running a trap for water here, and the one that I have for my plasma cutter, it's going through there as well. The first one is like a 5 micron filter for water and oil. The second one is a desiccant. That one's already turning pink. I mean, I'm putting gallons of water through this compressor, so it's humid as hell here in Tennessee right now. And the final step is basically right here. I know that looks like it's set at 80 psi, but that's actually on the back side. I'm gonna be closer to like 5 psi or so, so I'm gonna adjust it as I go. Don't mind my crack spoon here. I'm basically using it to fill these bottles with a powder coat from the bags that I get it shipped in. These containers that I'm using, these are from Eastwood as well, so they fit the gun, which is kind of nice that I don't have to like get it all out of here and all that. So if you're picking up a gun, make sure you pick up more containers. This is the one that it comes with. Doesn't come with a cap, weirdly enough, in case you want to store it, but the ones that you can buy separately, I think 3 of them are like 20 bucks, and you could get it from Eastwood through Amazon or even directly from them, depending on who has it cheaper at what time. These I got directly from Eastwood, and I think I got for $30 something, I got 6 of them, and they seem to do the job. They keep the powder dry and easy for me to swap out. All right, so I got my oven preheating. It's at 230 already. I have it set to 375, and so I am pretty much ready to start laying down my powder. So once this whole thing gels out to that kind of silverish color, I'm gonna give it 2 minutes after it completely gels out, and I'm gonna pull it out and let it cool off. All right, so part is out of the oven. I gave it 2 minutes until it all gelled out. As you can tell, it's all nice and melted. So it comes out this silverish red color, kind of orangey a little bit. Came out really nicely, nice and smooth. Everything looks clean. Swap the gun over to the clear coat, which goes on completely snow white, so you can see where you're covering, and that's going to basically do the illusion effect where it turns it nice and red. Taped off part came out pretty good. This time around, I'm going to tape just this part over here, the lip that the ball joint sits on. I'm going to make sure that it doesn't have any powder coat on there, just so it goes in nicely and sits flat the way it's supposed to. So the billet is kind of protected too by the clear. All right, I'm going to let this cool off for about 30 minutes or so until it's cool to the touch, and I am going to jump in and clear coat it. This is the best part of this. Check that out. That is one flaky red. This is really red. This came out really good. Super glossy. Like I said, I went a little bit extra thick on the clear coat just to make sure that I have full coverage. Now, as far as this color, honestly, the GoPro does not do it justice. You really have to see this color in person in the sun. I mean, this thing's ridiculous. So with a little bit of YouTube magic, the Can-Am is all back together. Now I'm gonna do a whole separate video on the Can-Am, installing the full conversion kit on it. I definitely like the way everything came out. Everything went together nicely. Since I did the Illusion Red on the arms and on the arms in the back, I did decide to do it on my little inserts here for the vent on the windshield. So I also ended up cutting and making a grill for the Can-Am. I did the Illusion Red with the top piece being just texture black, and I think it really came out awesome. If you're curious about the grill, I am selling these. They are made here by me, and it is in the link below in my Etsy shop, just in case you guys are wondering. If you are looking to powder coat at home, you don't need a huge oven like that. You can get started with a small regular sized used oven. For me, easiest way to organize all my powders is just have a bottle that you're using for each color, so you don't have to blow out the bottle every time you need to change a color. All the powders that I'm using the most are here at arm's length, and I get all my powders from Prismatic Powders. I'm not sponsored by them, but they are actually a really great company. They ship product to you super fast. They airship their powders next day. So if you're in the middle of a project and you run out, they get it to you super quick. And I really like that about them. So another thing that's really cool about Prismatic Powders, they do have factory match colors. So like the Can-Am tan, this grill is going to be available on Etsy as well with the texture black, and the Can-Am tan, which is in matte. Bear with me as I get all this stuff up on Etsy and running. So if you guys found the video helpful, make sure to hit the like button, and hopefully I've inspired you to try powder coating at home. It's not as difficult as it seems, and one of the most important things is prep work. You prep right, follow the instructions, you should be able to get the same results as I do. Next video is coming out on the Can-Am and the conversion. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Later.